Hey and welcome to Tutorial CU. My name is Yannick and in this video we are going to take a look at the difference between an IQueryable and an IEnumerable, and that's very important because the difference between an IEnumerable and an IQueryable has a huge impact on the performance of your database queries. Since most of the jobs out there are in the fields of web development, you should definitely be interested in optimizing your code as much as possible. So let's get started. Alrighty, so here I got a .NET 7 console application with 3 classes. I put all the classes inside one file. You can for sure split it up. I just do that so that you can follow along in the easiest way possible. Now, let's just real quick, it just takes 20 seconds. Let me just explain you what I got here. We got a customer, right? And that customer has a property, and I got a constructor, and that constructor is, well, just creating that object instance and setting the revenue. So this is our entity model. So let's just assume we have a database, like an SQL database with customers, okay? And then we get the ORM, the object relational mapper. Just think of it like an SQL database. And inside that database, we have a table called customers. And then we have data entries inside of that table, which you can see right here, just new customers. And each of them has a unique revenue value. Please don't focus too much on that. As I said, it's really just a data entry. I just try to build like something looking like an SQL or behaving like an SQL database, right? So this is really just for providing us any kind of data. So notice that we got the ORM class here and there is a customer list. And that's all we have to do. We pre-fill it with some data once we create an instance in the constructor. If we scroll a little bit down in the ORM right here, you can see that we have 2 methods. Now this is where things are getting interesting. We got one method which is returning an IQueryable of type customer, right? Get customers as queryable. I just named that method, so I implemented it. And it returns the customers as queryable. So since this is a collection, we can simply call the as queryable. Now, the other method here is public IEnumerable of type customer, and it for sure returns the customers as enumerable. So what's the difference between a queryable and an enumerable? An enumerable is already a collection. So let's take a look here at our list. If we just select that list and hit F12, we will come into the definition for sure of that class. You can see that we have the iList interface right here, and if I again hit F12 and get into that implementation, you can see the interface, and that interface is implementing the IEnumerable. And that basically means an array, a dictionary, and a list. All of them are enumerables. So they are collections. They are like a fixed data set, right? So simply think of it that way. If we have an IEnumerable, we have like real data, okay? So we have a data set, maybe it's empty, maybe it's not empty, but we have an object instance, we got something. Now, on the other hand, the queryable is nothing real yet. It's just like, hey, please note that I want to get all the customers, but you don't have any object instance, you don't have any data, right? It's just like the query so far, but it's not executed. That's the difference, right? Just a quick note, if you like these kind of videos, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you no longer miss any upcoming videos. Oh, and if you are a C# developer and you finally want to land your very first job, and maybe you watched a lot of online courses already, or maybe you have participated in a bootcamp, but you still are struggling in landing or finding your first job as a developer, please check out our C# Progress Academy. It's a unique online course, self-paced, and it helps you learn the skills that you really need to land your first job. This includes technical new skills, for example, ASP.NET Core and Angular, but also a lot of soft skills for portfolio building, for job interviews and all of that. You can find the link in the description below or popping up right now at the top right corner. Now let's continue at our internal class program right here. So this is where the action now takes place. Here we got a static void main, and inside of that void, we simply create a new instance of our ORM, which contains our data set, right, our customers. So let's get started with the IEnumerable. I simply create an IEnumerable right here of type customer, and I will simply call it E for enumerable. I know it's not the best name, but I will simply call it E, and then we're gonna call our database and call get customers as enumerable, right? So this is the method that we have implemented above. Great, so now E, in that moment where this line will get executed, E will be, let me just comment that here. E will be, let's say we have 50,000 customers. I know in our data set we only have like 20 or something. I just used it for visualization. But let's assume that we have 50,000 customers. In that moment, E would be 50,000 customers. Why? Because an IEnumerable is a real collection. As I said, there is data inside. Awesome. So our next step would be to filter that, because we're only looking for high paying customers, for example. So let's say var high paying customers, and that's equals to e.where. So we're going to filter it, and we filter where each customer, so where C goes to C.revenue, and then we're going to say is bigger than 2,500 revenue, for example, right? So this will filter our customers for high paying. Let's say we got 25,000 high paying customers, so the 50,000, just the half of it. So E, or high paying customers, is now, those are 25,000. So we now have executed two queries. The first one was getting all of our customers, so 50,000 customers were transferred via the network, 50,000, alrighty? So we got all of our customers. Just imagine you got like 5 million customers inside of your database. That query here, or that call, would be like crazy. Okay, and afterwards we got the second call, which is filtering them. And that may also take a while to get executed, right? But that one here, that's definitely the big problem, because now you got like all of your customers inside of your memory and all of that. Great. So that's the first point. That's the way that you should really not go, because as I said, we have two queries. The first one is getting all the information, get all customers, and the second one is filtering. But we can combine it and significantly increase the performance of that query, and I will explain you why and how it's done right now. So let's do nearly the same stuff with an IQueryable instead of an IEnumerable. Again, we have a customer here. Let's call it Q for query, and then we're gonna say db.getCustomer as queryable. Okay, that's the second method that we have implemented. I can show it to you right now. Just for you to remember, we got the customer list as a queryable and customers as enumerable, right? So as I said, if you, for example, use Entity Framework in ASP.NET Core or something like that, then Entity Framework will handle that for you and return you enumerables or queryables. So now we called get customers as queryable, and now the interesting part happens. So what do you think? What size? How many entries does Q have right now? If we have like 50,000 customers, what's the size of Q? How many entries are inside? 0. Once that line is executed, you still have 0. No data is fetched yet. No single data entry. Okay, so it's just like a note. Hey, I will have to get all the customers. That's just what's inside of the query right now. So you were building up a query. Okay, so no memory got allocated for any kind of data yet. Now again, we want to get the high paying customers. So we take the high paying customers again. We take our query, and we again want to filter. So we're gonna say where, take exactly the same expression, where customer.revenue goes to, or is bigger than 2,500. There we go. So again, what do you think is the size, or how many entries do we have in high paying customers right now, right? So we grabbed the data, the customers as queryable, and we have filtered it. So how many people are now inside? If we have 50,000 customers and half of it, so 25,000 people our customers are high paying. Again, it's 0. It still did not get executed. It's just query building. So we're still building the query. Get all the customers, filter them, right? Now, when or how can we execute that? Well, it's pretty easy. We simply have to call toList or toArray or something like that. Something that turns the query into a collection. And in that moment, using the toList or toArray call or whatever, the query will get executed. So we could simply go ahead and add a toList, for example, here at the end, or toArray. But I want to do it in a new line. So let's say, for example, var final data equals to high paying customers, which is our query, right? High paying customers is our query because it's query.where high paying customers dot, for example, to list. And in that moment, the query will get executed, and the query, the real SQL query, will look something like that. It will say select all from customers, for example, so something like where and then revenue bigger 2,500, right? Just something like that. So our ORM or our database will simply execute one query, and only maybe in the end we have like 25,000 customers. Only those will get transferred via the network. So let's assume we only have 5,000 customers which are high paying, then only 5,000 customers have to be sent via the network instead of 50,000 just from that single call right here. And that's the difference, right? So just to sum it up in 2 sentences, the IEnumerable, or what we have right here, are 2 queries which have to run after each other. It's getting all the customers and then we're filtering. Now the second one, the IQueryable right here, is we're building one query. Get all the information of our customers, okay, I noted that, and then filter it, okay, I noted that, and in the moment we hit toList or toArray or something like that, in the moment we take the IQueryable and turn it into an IEnumerable, in that moment we're going to execute the query inside of our ORM, and we have a super improved way of querying data and reducing the actual network traffic. Awesome, so I hope you have learned something new. Thanks for watching, and if you liked that video, please give it a thumb up and subscribe to our channel so that you no longer miss any upcoming videos.